Evening. It is Wednesday, May 5th, 2021 at 6 p.m. I'm calling the Lakeville Board of Health meeting to order. Is there anyone recording this other than LakeCAM? I hear no one for the record. In accordance with Governor's order suspending certain provisions of open meeting law relating to the 2020 novel coronavirus outbreak emergency, the May 5th, 2021 meeting at 6 p.m. of the Board of Health shall be physically closed to the public to avoid group congregation. However, to view this meeting in progress, please go to www.facebook.com/LakeCAM. You do not need a Facebook account to view this meeting. This meeting will be recorded and available to be viewed at a later date at lakecam.tv. Permit me to confirm that all members, staff, and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. Bob Palucci?
I'm here.
Chris Spratt?
Present.
Edward Cullen, our health agent?
Present.
Okay, and then on the agenda, we have Silva Engineering.
Present.
Okay, and we should have Spink Design.
Here.
Okay. We'll go to first on the agenda. Boston Tavern, new food establishment. They will be managing Pond Lodge, Ted Williams Camp, located at 28 Precinct Street. And it says pending health agent inspections. I'll let Ed speak to this one first. I believe the inspection has been done, Ed. I think we got that sent to us today. Am I correct?
Correct. The inspection was done, but it was a partial inspection. The kitchen is not fully renovated. They still need to do work on the kitchen, but they are approved to do catering only, as in they cook the food elsewhere and they reheat it there and then they present it there. So they're all set for that, but they're not. The kitchen still needs some work, some significant renovations. So they're not allowed to cook in the kitchen right now.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of them, or is it we on our own on this one? I hear no one. I'll put it over to Chris. Any comments or questions on approving this one?
No, looks pretty straightforward to me. And Ed and I had talked about it previous, so yeah, it looks good to me.
Okay, thank you. Bob Palucci, comments, questions?
I just want to know from Ed, they renovated that when they did it all over. There's still a lot of stuff that they need to do to cook in there.
Not a lot, but I guess the renovation wasn't complete. Derek actually probably knows more about that than I do. There are still the fan and the stove need some work.
Okay.
And I think it said something about the sink in the report, maybe too, that wasn't tied in.
Yeah, there was a hand washing sink there that they have to do work on as well.
Okay. Yeah, so it's never been completed, Bob, since way back when we were dealing with the issues we were having there, with people using the kitchen when they weren't supposed to.
Okay. Yeah, we've been allowing food to go into there for years, so I'm fine with this.
Yeah, and I think the previous was all people bringing food in. It was mostly just reheating and stuff. And I think Boston Tavern's idea is they'll be doing more stuff there, and they're upgrading, I think, some of the equipment too, not just completing installation, from what it sounds like.
Okay, so we should be good to approve this one. I believe I don't see any other issues.
No one's here to talk on it?
No, Bob, no one is here.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve Boston Tavern at the Loon Pond Lodge at Ted Williams Camp to bring in food cooked elsewhere and serve it until they get their final sign off from Ed.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Chris Spratt,
Aye.
Bob Palucci,
Aye.
Derek Maxim, aye. Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda, Domino's Pizza.
Derek?
Yes,
Can I say something? Prior to the meeting, the Domino's and 72 Lakeside agreed to switch positions. So if 70,
okay, so we will go out of order on the agenda. We will skip Domino's Food Establishment and jump right to 72 Lakeside Ave. Meet with Silver Engineering Associates, discuss requested waivers on a septic repair. I'll turn it over to Silva Engineering, Larry Silva.
Yes, we are trying to get this septic system repaired and upgraded because it is basically it's in failure right now, and it's costing a lot to be pumping it on a weekly basis. So we had submitted the plan. I believe the plan was okay, except that there was an additional waiver that was being asked for, and that had to do with the distance from the pond itself, which is generally 400 feet, but I think that it's at, I think it's 70 feet, 60 to 70 feet, I think it was, as it was identified in the request that was sent to you. Aside from that, if you want to go into the details of the actual design, that I can do that, it's up to you.
Okay. I'll turn it over to Chris first for any questions, comments.
Yeah, I didn't see too much to really nitpick at. It seems pretty straightforward, and the stuff they're asking for is pretty much standard stuff for what we deal with in this type of situation. So no, I don't have anything extra to add at this time.
Okay. Did we have to notify any abutters? It doesn't look like we did on the waivers, or did you send something to Taunton Water, or New Bedford Water?
I don't know as though I can answer that question. Hold on a second.
Ed, do you know?
yes, I believe they did.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, we contacted Ashley. I think Ashley may have done it for you, Larry.
Yeah. Okay, yes, they were.
Okay, so we only have two people that were notified? No direct abutters other than the pond?
I
Yeah,
don't
so
thi- I'm
they
sorry, go
only had to notify the pond.
Okay, did we get any reply back from them, Ed?
No, we did not.
Okay. Ed, did you have any other comments on this one? I had read your notes on it. Did you have any other comments you'd like to add?
Just that, yeah, I mean, the tanks kind of have to be where they are. I mean, they have to be close to the house, and he's pumping up the hill. So the field is actually it's close to 800 feet away. So it's about as far as you can. It's actually in this section right here, where it juts out like that. Whereas the house is way down here and the tanks are here. He's pumping all the way back here, which is well outside the 400. So they're really making every effort to keep as far away as possible.
Okay, thank you.
And the tanks are in the groundwater. Are those monolithic? I don't have the plan in front of me. I can't
Yes.
pull it up.
Yes, they're identified as monolithic.
Okay.
Yeah, this is a challenging one, to say the
Oh,
least.
yeah.
There's
It looks
a
like
lot of there's tiers of elevations in the yard that have to be negotiated with in order to pump it all the way up the length of the driveway, basically. And at the same time, we're going to be preparing for a new well to go in at the same time.
Okay, is the well going in the same location, or is there a proposed well on this plan somewhere?
The proposed well should be shown on there as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be right at the base of the driveway.
It's right in the corner of the turnaround.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah. Actually, the existing well is really not in a very good place. It's right right next to the pump chamber.
I see.
It's right near the hot tub.
Yeah,
You see the W there?
right next to the upper retaining wall. Is that where I'm looking
Yep.
at?
Yeah.
What's
So
the
this is going to be a real improvement.
Okay, what's the sequence of events to installation? I know you said you're in a hurry to put it because it's in failure, but if the well hasn't even been put in yet.
Well, we're going to bring the line up for the well. The well may happen after, but the septic system will happen immediately.
Okay,
As soon, you know,
do you have the distance
That's right.
from the existing well to the tanks? Are we over 50 feet? Because I know there's a 50.
oh yeah. Oh, from the existing tank?
From the existing wells, because that's going to be in use during installation. I don't know if we can go closer to 50. Hold on.
We're going exactly where the tanks are right now. We're actually maintaining the same locations for the tanks, and the distance to the well is what it is now, what it's current. And then we're obviously increasing it by replacing the well significantly. Will be like I don't know, it's 150 feet minimum to the tanks, and certainly a lot more than that to the field itself. As far as the sequence, as far as the problem was, she was trying to get a well driller to put the new well in. So the timing, we're hoping that the timing is the same. But right now, that distance between the two is not going to change until either one of these is done.
Okay, but I'm just saying, seeing it is a repair, Ed, am I correct on that? I mean, even though it's too close, is it less than 50, I guess is my first question. And just because it's there already, doesn't mean we can grant it without a variance, just because it's there and it's less than 50.
You're correct, Derek. Derek, you're correct. It's supposed to be less than 50 and you're supposed to put the well in first. So that the normal procedure is get your well in and then do your septic.
And that's what I'm trying.
Miss Lynn, you muted yourself?
Am I muted?
You're okay now.
Okay. I have contacted Jeff Hadrose, and he did give me a quote, but we're kind of waiting for the approval to move forward with anything, and scheduling, as I'm sure you're aware, is very hard right now. But the goal was to get him here first.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Ed, do you have a scale on that? What is the distance to the current?
The pump chamber is 30 feet. The septic tank is 35.
Okay. Ed, are we even allowed to grant a temporary variance to put them in? If they wanted to do septic first, if they ran into a problem?
Well, I think she said she plans to do the well first, so the idea would be get the well away and then there's no variance needed.
Okay,
Get the new well in and then,
but just so everybody's aware, I mean, you're talking probably at least 6 weeks at the earliest. I mean, by the time you do the test, and well, maybe less than that, maybe 4 weeks if they come right out. Is that, I don't know if we have a choice. It is, I think, where I'm going with it.
So
This is pretty much an emergency
it
condition.
is emergency.
Okay, can
So
we do
like,
something?
we're asking your indulgence in that, and if you need to condition it on something related to the situation that we're in, that would be appropriate, but this is a significant failure right now.
I'd be okay with making it subject to compliance, subject to having the well in if everybody else is. I mean, if they're pumping it every week, it's costing them a fortune. I'd just like to get it in.
And as it is right now, it's not safe either. That's why I don't understand.
Okay, yeah, it's just that there's certain rules we have to follow to approve. If we go on an emergency, Ed, it'd be the first one, I think, since I've been on the board to do it, but I'm fine with it. If we're allowed to do that, Ed, do you have any?
yes, you're allowed to do it.
It is not our desire to do it and require that. We want to get the well in first. So however the board wants to vote it, we're just asking that you understand the situation that we're in right now.
Can we project as neighbors? Can they utilize water from our property, you know, with a properly sited artesian well in the interim?
I'll refer to Ed on that one. What do you think, Ed? I mean, I'm fine with allowing him to install it with this well going. It's just, it's just something we have to address on the approval. And if we can do an emergency approval without a new well in and reuse this one just because it is in failure, I'm fine with that. Should we put another note on it, Ed, with that? What's your recommendation on approving it with this well at 33 feet? Just make another note for that or no?
Yeah, we'll just, we'll include it in the, a waiver. No. Say it's for emergency use only.
Okay, and we shouldn't have to put a time frame on or anything, or like Bob said, is that fine? Just
If you can pick an accurate time frame, that works too.
yeah, actually, I think
Well-
that might be a better choice because I know we've had plans in the folders for years that don't have a COC. So I think a time frame might be a better option.
Well, I'm
Larry?
not gonna say I'm waiting for Jeff, but I've been waiting to get a well for about 3 months now, so on a property I'm doing, so I know these guys are straight out. We can pick a time. I don't know his schedule. I know they're all just straight out right now, so you know, I don't mind putting something in, and if they can't get it in by that date, they can come back and ask us to extend it, but once the septic's in, I mean, you know, what are we gonna do? We're not gonna condemn the house, so I mean, we just, you know, if they're pumping it every week, I just want them to change the septic system and get the well in as fast as they can myself.
And I do have to agree with that. Last year, we were out of water from September till November.
Mm.
So we know
Okay.
how not to use the water if that's the concern.
Is 6
Okay.
months?
Could
okay?
I suggest that, you know, that you make it somewhere between 3 and 6 months, that without a, you know, reapproval by the board as a temporary use? 3 months, and then we can come back to you if we don't get it done in 3 months.
I would be fine going right to 6. You know, just to give you plenty
I'm
of
not
time.
gonna argue with that.
Chris Carrada, is that acceptable?
I'm
Yeah,
good with
just
it.
if anything happens in the interim, maybe just keep us notified of what's going on, you know,
Absolutely.
if anything adverse happens, you know what I mean? You know,
Bob,
even
you
though we're
okay
in a
with it?
drought, all of a sudden we get all kinds of rain and there's crazy stuff going on out there.
Okay,
And the
so we'll
offer
just-
from the neighbor might be a resource to allow for, you know, a connection from their well over to the house until such time as, it could be because we'll be in good weather, so an overland connection would work at this point from the neighboring house. That was a very nice offer.
Yeah, it was a nice offer, but there is a property between you two, so that you would need permission from them as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, Ed, can you just say that exact distance again? Because we'll just have to add that as a current waiver. to-
Just say 30, was that it, Chris?
30 feet plus or minus.
Okay,
Yeah, it's 30 on the pump chamber, 35 on the septic tank. Plus or minus, it's scaling.
okay. Is there any abutters out there that would like to speak on behalf of this one? Or anyone, I guess, I've just thrown it out to anyone on Facebook, any comments, questions?
Nothing on Facebook.
Okay. I think that was all my concerns. I have no other issues. I think it's going to be a big improvement and needs to get fixed as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm fine, you know, just get the well in as fast as you can, but, you know, as long as the septic's fixed, that's a big plus.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chris, do you have the distances? Do you want to make that one? Do you add in
Sure.
those?
So I make a motion to approve the septic repair at 72 Lakeside Ave with the 3 variances. And also an emergency order for the, under emergency order, they're allowed to do the septic before the well because of scheduling issues and trying to get a well person out there. But they have up to 6 months to be able to get that well in before we need to know what's going on, if there's any changes. It's kind of wordy.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Chris Pratt,
Aye.
Paul Palucci,
Aye.
Eric Maxim, aye. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Silva.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you to Domino's for letting us cut in front of them.
That's okay. We expect to make a lot of deliveries on Lakeville Street.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Larry.
Okay, next on the agenda, we're going to go back to Domino's Pizza, new food establishment located at 56 Main Street, pending health agent inspections. I'll turn it over to Ed Cullen, just for a quick update. I don't believe the inspection's been done on that one yet. Am I correct?
Oh, we haven't started the construction yet. We just coming before the board, well, the different boards. We've been approved by the planning board. Now we're coming here. Then we have the ZBA on the 20th of May, trying to get all our initial approvals up and the building permit set so we can start.
Are you taking both spaces that are left or just one of them?
No, just one, about
Okay.
1,500 square feet. We will be at the end of the building.
Okay.
Because one of the things that we intend to have is a drive-up window. And we had a discussion with the planning board on this. Is this a drive-through? And our feeling is it's not. There's a lot of differences, but with the planning board, it's more like, well, if it looks like a duck and it acts like a duck, it must be a duck. So that we held to the same rules. But the difference is the drive around, as we call it, because of this situation. The cars will come in from the back of the Dollar Tree and come up that side of the building. So there's no menu board like a drive-through would have. All of the orders are done in advance. They are strictly coming in to pick up their order that's already been placed and paid for. So they just drive up to the window and say, Joe Smith, boom, here's your meal, and off you go. So in a typical drive-through, each customer can be there from anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes trying to get their menu order set. Ours is roughly 30 to 60 seconds. If somebody
You're just doing
drives-
curbside at a window is all you're trying to do.
That's it. And if somebody drives up to the window and hasn't ordered yet, we'll instruct that person to drive around to the front of the building, park, and come in, place your order inside the building. We don't want to hold up anybody. We're not like Dunkin' Donuts or McDonald's where the cars back up and you got to worry about traffic coming out on the streets. That doesn't happen with us. And the other thing to consider too with Domino's, about close to 90% of our business is delivery. Now the drive up will help with that, but we go to them. We take the food to them, to the customer, and so it's very, very few people actually coming to the store to pick up an order or to place an order. We're not even planning to have any tables or chairs there. We just don't have any need for that. But we're excited to be there. The initial reaction we've got from both Lakeville and Middleborough is very, very positive. We're very happy to be in this area, and they're doing well. It's Snl Pizza Inc. This is their second franchise. We did a franchise last year in Auburn. It's going very well. It's a young married couple, and they were looking at this area from the time they got settled in Auburn. Say, this is another area maybe for our next one, and here we are. So we're excited about possibility of coming into the store. It's also a company, Domino's, that does a lot with the community, a lot of give back to the community, and Auburn would attest to that as well. So we're happy to do that.
How much of Lakeville are you gonna deliver to? Do you know yet?
Almost all of Lakeville and about half of Middleborough. We're trying to extend that. That's up to Domino's National to draw those lines. So their initial map was very tight, and we met with them, and they agreed to. They didn't realize they're drawing maps in Michigan, and they don't realize the highways and the places that make it very, very easy to get to. It basically, it comes down to, if you can get to a house in 9 minutes, okay, that house can be in your area. Well, when you got highways, you can go pretty far in 9 minutes. But it's, as I said, they don't, when they do all these maps and draw circles and everything in Michigan, when you get here back to Massachusetts, I remember the first argument I had with Domino's is, no, we are not going to put a Domino's in the North End of Boston. That is not in our best interest, or in Chinatown. That was the other one they wanted. We fought back on that one. So, but we're excited to be coming into Lakeville. We really are, and Middleborough.
I was only asking because I'd love to give you my address, because nobody delivers to my house. But if I did that, I'm sure I'm breaking the law somehow. But good luck to you over there.
We will just take a mental note of that. You can.
Okay.
The first time you come to the store, give us your card, and we'll keep that on file.
No, don't get me in trouble.
No.
I'm just hoping. My fingers are crossed you'll come.
All
No,
right, thank you for that. Ed,
that's cool.
they are approved for 25 seats anyway. Am I correct with that?
Yeah, the original site plan planned for a restaurant there. I think it's actually more than 25 seats. They have a grease trap. That was all planned ahead of time when they put in that, both the septic system and the building itself. They planned for a restaurant with a drive-through. So that's all set. And they do have all their paperwork in order.
And Mr. Chairman, we're going to have both. We have the external grease trap that Dollar Tree set up when they built the structure. We don't have any intention of using that one, because we have an internal grease trap right in the store. And the internal grease trap combined with the ovens that we have, and the hood and the ansel, we clean out the grease trap every 3 months by contract. And in 3 months, we're expected to create approximately 150 pounds of grease, and the internal grease trap will hold 250 pounds of grease. In the first year and a half in Auburn, we have never filled the internal grease trap, and we don't think we'll ever will. But the backup is there, and it's we are connecting to it. If for any reason the internal grease trap shuts down, we've got the external grease trap to jump in.
Okay, thank you. And just back to Ed, do we have an exact number of seats that we should be approving this permit for?
The original septic plan, I think, was for 75 seats.
Wow.
Yeah, but don't we have to save some for the other space?
Correct, you do.
Yeah, I don't think we have a Domino's anywhere in the United States that has 75 seats.
So are these spaces the same size, Ed? Do you know that by any chance? Should that number just be cut in half? Because I think we definitely should have a seat number approved.
It's pretty close. We're a little bit more than a little bit larger than the other. I've made some recommendations to the landlord who is pursuing some other tenants. None of them food. We're not going to recommend another food place come in, but But there are other tenants that have, that are looking and I don't know if they would even need, if it's a business area, they're certainly not going to need 25 seats, but you know, they can have all of us. If you want to leave us with a dozen seats, you know, that's fine. I can't see us. I don't think we have a room. I'm looking at the floor plan right now, and you know, trying to figure out where we would put tables and chairs for 12 people. But we may have to, because if we have, you know, the customers at the Dollar Tree, or suddenly they decide, well, it's noontime, let's walk down and grab something to eat and sit down and eat. We may have to put in some tables and chairs, but very few.
Okay, I'd just like to, just don't cut yourself short on the approval.
No.
Yeah, I'm
no.
thinking at least 25.
That'd be fine. You can say up to 25 seats, and that'd be fine. We can work with that.
Okay. And one other question on our notes, I was seeing we do have a stipulation for a trash barrel at all drive-ups, but I think we're already discussing this, not a drive-up. I think maybe this
Yeah,
one-
we're planning for a trash barrel right at the corner of the building, right where you would drive up to the window. Just beyond the window, there'll be a trash barrel. They don't want it in the middle of the drive up, but right at that the corner of the building, there will be a trash barrel for anybody to drop stuff in. That way, if customers coming in, coming out, and driving up, they can all use that same trash barrel.
Okay, thank you. That addresses that. So this would be pending, obviously, the inspection on the approval for the.
Exactly, yeah. Most of the Board of Health issues are involved after we build. The temperature of the water, the temperature of the cooler, the mop sink, three sink basin, those kinds of things. It's after we're built.
Okay, thank you. Ed Cullen, any other comments on this one before we approve? Or
No, I do not have any more comments.
is there anyone on Facebook or online that would like to comment? on this?
Nothing on Facebook, sorry.
Okay. I'm good with it. Chris, you good? Everybody?
Yeah, I'm good.
Bob?
Yeah, I'm good. I think when you go to the other boards, you should try to just let them know. I know what you're trying to do. You're basically trying to just do curbside, but at a window so the people don't have to go outside. They're not going to be ordering like at Dunkin' Donuts and putting orders in and then driving up and picking the food up and stuff. So,
Right.
As somebody after the last year, I think it's a great idea that people, I've loved curbside all through Corona and I think this is even better if you can just drive up and have somebody hand it to you. So,
Yeah, we'd expect someone that's driving home from work decides, if they want to have pizza for dinner, they can make a call from their car and just drive up and pick it up and bring hot food home.
I'm good with it.
All right, so we'd like to make a motion?
Make a motion, we approve the food establishment license for Domino's Pizza at 56 Main Street, contingent upon Ed's final inspection.
And the number of
I'll
seats?
second that.
And also, yes, and the number of seats will be up to 25.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Chris Pratt,
Aye.
Bob Palucci,
Aye.
Derek Maxim, aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time and effort with this.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Okay, next on the agenda is 76 Lakeside Ave. Meet with Spink Design to discuss proposed septic design. I'll turn it over to the engineer on that one.
Yes, yeah, I did the I did the soil testing. I didn't do the survey. I had that done. It was unique. It was a unique situation in that the lot was only 50 feet wide. So it was a little tough to get everything to fit in there. You can see on sheet 1 of 4 that the soil absorption system is kind of at like a 45-degree angle. And part of it is under the driveway. And the tanks, both the existing septic tank and pump chamber are down in the yard closer to the pond area. And we, since they were over a certain age, we could not use those tanks. And for some unknown reason, they were very deep in the ground, and they didn't need to be that deep because the plumbing coming out of the house is not that deep. So what I did is I proposed to use new plastic tanks, which you can see on sheets 3 and 4. And I have a concrete ballast around them and all that, and show the buoyancy calcs. And the plastic tanks will actually be much easier to get in place. And once they're in the correct position, they can have the concrete poured around them, and then that'll solidify, and that'll be the ballast, so the tanks won't go anywhere. So with regard to the buoyancy calcs, I assume that the tanks would be like completely submerged. So in other words, be like a worst case scenario. So it's going to be a lot better than what's there now. So those tanks, the concrete tanks that are in the ground now, are going to be abandoned. What they're going to do is that when the time comes, they're going to pump them out, both the septic tank and the pump chamber, punch a hole in the bottom of the tanks and fill them full of sand and leave them there. And the force main, you can see the force main. It's got quite a run, and it's going to go all the way up to a distribution box, which will then distribute the water 50% to each one of those. Essentially, it kind of looks like 2 separate soil absorption systems, and that's where we did the soil testing. And we kind of had sort of 3 strikes against us in that we had a small area to work with. We did not have good soil. I couldn't even do a perk test, so that's why we did a sieve analysis and hydrometer test, and it was a very high water table. So it was an interesting design, but we got it done. And you can see all the details on all the sheets, and it's usually a septic design is only 1 sheet. This you can see is 4 sheets.
Okay, and I see the fields are at different elevations and they're H20 loading. Looks to have all stone around it to comply with H20 loading. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's what the manufacturer recommends. They recommend putting the stone around it, and then there's also a 6-inch gap which would have stone between the chambers. These panels are very flat because of the high water table issue we had. So in other words, I was trying to keep it, the whole system as low profile as possible, because these are those Caltech chambers, and like you said, they are H20, so you can drive over them. And so they're only 8.5 inches tall. That's why there are so many of them. If we had, say, a deeper water table, I could have used taller chambers, and I would have had a smaller system. But anyway, that's how it ended up working out.
Okay. Is there stone underneath them? Are they set on stone?
The manufacturer doesn't really specify to do that. You can, or if you want, but as I said, the manufacturer just says to level off the ground where the panels are going to go, and then you can just sit them right on the ground. And you can also see the existing soil absorption system right off the driveway, and you can see how much larger the new system is going to be. So in other words, the effluent is going to be spread out over a much, much larger area. So essentially it's going to get a lot more treatment before it enters the water table. Because I did the inspection on this, and the existing system, where it says existing SAS, it's a series of chambers. So we dug that up with a machine at the time of the inspection, and we took the cover off of the chambers. They're concrete chambers, and they were literally filled right to the top with water.
Okay. Quick question to Ed Collin. On these chambers, are you familiar with the Caltech C4s and the H20 loading on them?
Yeah, the C4 is one of the few actual plastic chambers that can have an H20 loading. I do disagree with Tom. I mean, I don't disagree with you. Caltech can say, you know, you can have stone and you can have sand. That's true. They are used as drainage, and in drainage situations, they do use stone underneath. But Title V requires that sand is underneath. You can put the stone to the side, it does reinforce it, but it does, Title V, to get the reduction in area, you need sand, not stone. So that for a septic situation, you do need sand. You could switch to all stone and just get rid of the chambers, go with an old pipe and stone, and you could still fulfill the requirement there. But when using these chambers, you do need sand underneath. He does have something underneath to support it. I think it was where is it here? Somewhere.
GeoGrid membrane?
Yeah, the GeoGrid.
Okay.
That helps with support, but you do, Title V requires sand underneath chambers, except in a drainage situation, but in septic situations, they have to have sand.
Okay. And
Oh, sorry, you can put them there, but you don't get the reduction that you normally do.
okay. And in the installation manual for these chambers, it does allow that GeoGrid for H20 loading. I am just questioning because I've run into this before where I was told these chambers weren't H20 loading unless they were set on stone, and you lose that, like you said, that reduction. I just might have been told incorrectly by at the time.
Oh, I've used them in other towns, and I've never had any. In other words, I put the GeoGrid under them, like you said, in the specifications, and I've never had anybody else ever question them.
Just one thing, in this situation, he has oversized them, so he doesn't need the reduction. So
Okay.
normally you need the sand to get the reduction, but in this situation, he does not need it. He has 1,000 square feet. Each of those fields are over 500. So if you wanted to, you could put stone underneath it, I guess. But it would be more like a pipe and stone
Right.
trench.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a driveway for a residential house. I just wanted to make sure the manufacturer, I didn't get a chance to go on Caltech and read this C4. I just want to make sure they are rated for H20 with that geofabric.
They are H20. They have a nice website. They make H10 chambers, obviously. And anytime I ever use plastic, which I don't normally do. In other words, I do a lot of designs on the Cape, and I like those big 500-gallon leaching galleys, which are concrete. And unfortunately, that was not going to fit in this situation because of the high water table. In other words, there'd be a mound, it'd be screaming out of the ground, which obviously nobody would want to see. But these chambers, they paint a stripe down the whole length of the chamber, so you know right off the bat if they're H10 or H20. The H20 ones have the painted stripe on them, and you can tell that there's definitely a difference. The H20 chambers are significantly thicker than the H10s. I've seen them many times at job sites, and they are very, very heavy duty. And the fact that they are so low profile, it's not like you're going to crush them by driving over them.
And that's the other thing with them too. It's not one arch, it's 4 small arches. So your span is a lot less.
Yeah, so you're distributing the load over a larger area.
Okay. One other question to you on your plan profile, where it shows the new 1,000-gallon pump tank. Below
What sheet are you on? What sheet? Sheet 1 or?
104.
Okay.
Top of the page, it says existing 1,000-gallon tank. It says to remain. I believe that is a typo.
No. Like I said, that is going to remain. What they're going to, in other words, we're not going to reuse it. In other words, it is going to remain. As I said earlier, what they're going to do is when the time comes, they're going to pump out both of those tanks, the existing pump chamber, and septic tank, which are both concrete. And as I said earlier, they're going to punch a hole and they're going to fill them with sand, so they are going to remain. In other words, if you take those tanks out of the ground, it's kind of a sort of a problem to get rid of them because it's kind of considered toxic waste and all that. So Title V says you can abandon tanks like that, and that's how you have to do it.
Right.
So technically it is going to remain,
but you're not going
but
to
it's not going to be used.
Right.
Yeah, correct. It's not going to be used, in this new design, but it is going to remain in the ground.
Yeah, but it's gonna be abandoned, I guess is the point we're getting at.
Correct. Yes, it is. Yeah, and then you see the new tank in the profile. That's the plastic tank. Both the septic tank and the PC are both of the plastic tanks. You can see they're all new, and they are going to have the concrete around them. And on sheets 3 and 4 have the buoyancy calcs.
Okay. Ed, are you fine with that note? I mean, I understand it now. You explained it. I mean, I think it might.
Yeah,
Should be in place for Title V and replaced with, I just don't want anyone looking at the plan get confused and think to remain means that tank's staying in use and not price it.
Well, if when the job begins, I mean, any of these installers, I mean, most of the time, I mean, they don't have a problem reading my plan, but I mean, once in a while, somebody will call me and I need to explain something. It was not a big deal. But I think it's pretty clearly illustrated on the plan that it's going to be a new plastic septic tank and a new plastic pump chamber because of the way this site is. I don't know if you've ever been there or not, but it'd be literally impossible to get a truck down there to install a new concrete septic tank. So these plastic ones, we can actually bring them in there, and it'll just be a lot easier to maneuver them around and get them in place. Whereas, like I said, a new concrete tank, usually you can back the flatbed truck with a boom on it right up to where it needs to go, pick up the tank and put it right in the ground. But here, we just don't have that accessibility. That's why I'm using the plastic tanks.
Okay, can I ask a question? I know that was the initial situation because you couldn't use your neighbor's property. Did you try using your neighbor's property and going around the retaining wall, or would that be a possibility?
I don't know. I just thought it would just be easier to just do it this way now and not have to encroach on them. But it's the only little I think little not a snafu, but little challenging thing would be to get the concrete in. In other words, they're going to have to back the mixer truck down right next to this, going down that other neighbor's driveway to get the concrete in there. But as far as getting new tanks in there, it's not really shown on the plan, but there are several large trees kind of like going on our property and also a neighbor's property. So it would be very difficult to maneuver a truck in there to get those tanks in place. So that's why I thought that the plastic tanks would just be more appropriate in this case. And I have used them a number of times in the past without any issues.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the plastic tanks. I just thought if originally when I spoke with you, the neighbor's property was off limits, but now the owner has changed. So I was just curious as to whether you had access to that property and whether they would allow that.
I think we do have access now because the previous neighbor was not cooperative. But as I said just a minute ago, it's not really shown on the plan. But there are many large trees on the locust property and also the neighbor's. So in other words, to maneuver a concrete tank in place would be extremely difficult. Whereas these plastic ones, they're obviously a lot lighter, and just a few guys could easily move this thing around or just drag it along the ground with a small excavator. So I just thought it would just be easier for everyone all the way around to just use the plastic. If it was more accessible, I would use concrete. I mean, the vast majority of the time I do use concrete. But if it's a situation where you just can't do it for whatever reason, then I have used plastic before and without any issues.
Yeah, no, the plastic are allowed. Do you know what type of tank you're going with? Is it a Roth or do you know? You don't know
the manufacturer. I have the detail on my computer. I'd have to go back and get the manufacturer. I just use their detail. But as far as to tell you who the name of the manufacturer is, I don't have it on here. But I know I could easily look it up. In other words, even when I spec out a concrete tank, I don't tell the installer, oh, you have to use a tank from Wigan Precast. I mean, you know, in other words, a lot of these installers, they have their own connections and so forth where they get this material. So I kind of let them, you know, get the material, you know, in places that they're familiar with. Like for example, if it's going to be a pump, I don't say, oh, you have to use a Myers pump. You know, they might, you know, be affiliated with another company that uses some other manufacturer. I mean, you know, so it's not that critical.
Well, I think it is kind of critical with plastic tanks and buoyancy, because there are certain tanks that can withstand a lot of weight, and then there are other tanks that cannot. So just, I mean, you don't have to tell me now, but before the contractor buys the tanks, we just got to make sure that the manufacturer is, whatever manufacturer the installer chooses to use, that it's going to be okay with your ballast, your concrete ballast, is all I'm asking.
Well, like I said, I've used, the last time I used one was in Foxborough, and I could call that installer and find out where he got the tank, the name of it, and all that. And I used on that one, I put I had them pour concrete all the way around the tank, like from the edge of the tank going out 2 feet all the way around, and then also the depth of the tank. So he said it was. He said it was 8 yards of concrete, and he said it cost him $125 a yard. That's $1,000. That's how I remember it. So that's a lot of concrete. So that tank wasn't going anywhere. In the tank comes with like deep ridges, like plastic ridges, which obviously give it its strength. So it's not like it's gonna collapse by putting the concrete around. Because as I said, I've seen them being put in the past. So if that were an issue, you know, they wouldn't be using these tanks if that was a problem. But I can find out from that installer what the tank was that he used and where he got it and everything else.
But like Roth is the most common one that's usually used, and they do have specific recommendations for their ballast. So just let the installer know that it needs to be done per the manufacturer's recommendations, because it is possible to damage these tanks.
Okay.
Okay. And so so we'll just be asking for the tank manufacturer prior to the installation of them be submitted, so Ed can review it and make sure it's acceptable. Just so there's no.
Yeah, I can find that. I can find that out.
Okay. And I believe the last thing on our list was the retaining wall, which runs quite a ways down the property line. Ed, do you want to speak on that one as far as the design, or just somebody certifying it because it is over 4 feet?
Yeah, the stamp on the plan is he is a structural engineer. We already talked about it.
Well, it's fine if he stamps it, but we need a little more detail than just these cinder blocks. You know, we need to show a footing. We need to show the amount of rebar. All of that. So if he wants to do it, I'm fine with him doing it, but we need a little more detail. Or if you're going to go, I mean, you say Keystone here. If you're going to go with Keystone, then show the Keystone, what for a 5 foot, with the maximum height for a Keystone wall. So whichever way you go, we need specific details rather than.
I mean, I'm not a structural engineer. I'm a civil engineer, but I do structural design, and this guy checks it for me, John Spink. And so what we've done in the past on these, I mean, 5 foot walls. I mean, I've done 10 foot high walls, and we use these hollow blocks. And then what John has said to do is you just take, like, say, a number 9 rebar, which is like 3/4 of an inch, and then every, like, say 4 feet, drop the a rod the length of the wall. You know, the hole going down the whole length of the wall every 4 feet, and then what you do is you fill the voids in the blocks with concrete. So in other words, it then becomes like a solid concrete masonry wall, and that thing doesn't go anywhere.
Right, but two things. One, you're saying that verbally to me, but the installer is not going to know that. He's going to look at this plan and see 5, 6 blocks stacked on top of each other, and think, okay, that's all I have to do. So the installer is the one who needs to see the exact specifications. And like I said, I mean, that's a solid wall, but walls tip over. I mean, they can be solid and still fall over. So, I mean, we just need something more detailed than what you're showing here. and like I said, before they build it, we need to see something.
Just writing stuff down here. Details for the wall.
I think some of the block manufacturers even have schematic details on their websites too.
Yeah, usually what we do is we have like 2 or 3 courses below grade, and yeah, there is a footing, and then they start stacking the blocks up below grade, and then you bring the wall up to the height you need it to be. But as you can see from this wall here, it varies in height because of because the contours change. So in other words, I didn't want to have just a straight, say to have the top of the wall be one elevation going all the way, because it would be a kind of a big waste of material. So that's why it's at different elevations, because this site, it drops off quite a bit. I mean, I think there's approximately a 30-foot drop from the road all the way down to, say, where the pond is. It's approximately a 30-foot drop. So you can see, I don't know if you've ever been there or not, but it when you're up at the road on Route 18, that's essentially like the highest elevation. Then as you're going down the driveway, you're continuously going downhill. And like I said, the pond being the lowest point, it's approximately a 30-foot drop.
Yeah, we get that
But
part. Just most of the manufacturers only has 4 feet without, so their engineering that they have online usually only go to 4 feet without doing some of the things you discussed. So we just require that anything over 4 feet, those details are given to us and that a structural engineer stamps them. So, we don't have any problems in the future.
Yeah, I could do that. It's maybe going to end up being another sheet then, because like I said, I don't really have any room on these sheets here. These sheets are pretty full. So
it can be on a separate document. A lot of, like Chris was saying, a lot of the manufacturers like Keystone, they can actually stamp them for you and everything, but we need specifications to give to the installer. We can't rely on verbal conversations. We need something on paper like that stamped.
like I say, a report.
Whether it's an 8x11 or 11x17, it doesn't really matter, but something showing the details, both specifications and diagrams, something showing it, like I said, however you choose to do it, whatever format, it's fine. We just need that. Whether it's on this, you can just say, see plans on separate sheet. That's fine, but as long as we have something to go with the plan.
Okay.
Thank you for that. Any other, any other comments on this one? Ed, I think we addressed everything I've seen.
Yeah, overall, he is correct in the sense that it's a big improvement to the old tanks, and the system as well is going to be well outside the 400. So the waivers he's asking for are very reasonable. Like there's no way you can put the tanks any further away from the pond, and the field is further away than the existing. So overall, it is a big improvement. So.
Okay, thank you. Chris Pratt, any questions, comments?
No, I think I saw where all the water was in relation to the system. All the wells was one question, but I saw that when he was moving around.
Yeah, there's no well that's within 100 feet of the system.
Yeah.
Because my surveyor located 3 wells, the locust well, and then the wells on either side, and you can see the 100-foot radius. So we're well outside of all the wells.
Right. I think everything's been pretty well covered that I would have probably questioned already.
All right, thank you, Chris. Bob Palucci, comments, questions?
No, I'm fine with that after everything we talked about.
Okay, is there anyone on the butter cards? I guess I'll go back to that one quickly. I didn't ask, I think just did we notify Taunton and New Bedford on this one?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I notified I notified both New Bedford Water Department and also the Taunton Water Department. And I sent Ed the receipts from the post office, and I have not received the green cards back yet. And I sent them out quite a while ago.
Okay, thank you. Ed, did we receive anything from Taunton or Bedford regarding this approval?
No, we have not received them, and as Tom said, he sent them out early enough to cover for the meeting. So it was more than 10 days prior to the meeting, so it satisfies the requirements.
Okay, thank you. Facebook comments, anyone?
There's
Any comment on this one?
nothing from Facebook.
Okay. I think should be good with this one for someone would like to approve it, just I guess stating that we need the type of plastic tank being installed with the manufacturer's recommendations of ballast and the retaining wall stratification and design. Am I missing anything else?
You almost made it through a whole meeting, Derek, with us being able to hear you.
Yeah, I just saw I'm fading out here. I'm trying to figure out how to get off my camera. Chris, we like the, Bob, anyone like to make a motion on that one?
How many
Or am I
variances
on?
were there? How many variance requests were there?
Hang on a second. The variances are listed on the first sheet.
Yeah, not all of us got a copy, so I'm not able to look at my stuff
Oh.
here.
I think it's 4 altogether.
I'll make a
Yeah,
motion to approve.
there's four altogether.
I'll make a motion to approve the septic repair at 76 Lakeside Avenue with 4 variances and also contingencies that we get. Our agent gets the brand of tank, plastic tank is going to be used ahead of time, and then we get a certificate for the structural integrity of the wall ahead before.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Chris Pratt,
Aye.
Bob Palucci,
Aye.
Derek Maxim, aye. Thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Do I have to tune into the next meeting, or are we all set?
No, you should be all set.
Okay.
Just supply us with that information prior to installation, and you should be all set to pick up the approved plan at the office.
Okay. All right. Good enough. We'll do.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. Thanks. All right. Bye.
Next on the agenda, betterment approvals, 16 Galfrey Road in the amount of $27,924. Ed, this one all set to approve? We all set with this one?
Yes, we're all set with well, both of them, but yeah, everything is in order.
Okay. Anyone on Facebook or anyone that would like to comment on the approval, betterment approval for 16 Galfrey Road?
Nothing from Facebook.
Okay. Bob, comments, questions? You good?
I'm good. I'll make a motion. We approve the betterment at 16 Galfrey Road in the amount of $27,924.
Second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Bob Palucci,
Aye.
Chris Pratt,
Aye.
Derek Maxim, aye. Next on the agenda, 4 Surrey Drive, betterment approval in the amount of $20,904. Ed, are we, everything checked out on this one and good for approval?
Correct. They have everything in order for the approval.
Okay, any comments on Facebook regarding 4 Surrey Drive, betterment approval?
Nothing from Facebook.
Okay. Bob, any questions, comments? I think we're good.
I'm good to go.
Chris,
I'm good.
like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the betterment for 4 Surrey Drive in Lakeville in the amount of $20,904.
Second,
Any discussion? All those in favor, Chris Pratt,
aye.
Bob Palucci,
Aye.
Eric Maxim, aye. Okay, we're going down under old business. We're gonna continue discussion regarding water testing regulations for septic repair or upgrade. This is something we've been discussing for a couple of meetings now on changing some of our local regulations on it. It's something we have to set up a public hearing for. On this one, I think we're getting closer to the end of these Zoom meetings. I don't think the state's gonna allow these to go on forever. I would like to see maybe this, when we do, hopefully maybe by June, we might be meeting in person, maybe by then. And I think it would be good for a public hearing to have it in person, but again, we still don't have a definite for that. It's just my thought, but we can still discuss. I know we've been looking into more. Anything else we'd like to put on the agenda for that? Bob, I'll turn it over to you.
I'm good.
Chris, any comments or questions regarding this, as far as just continuing it to the next meeting?
No, I think I'm good with continuing it and, yeah, we can continue it. I don't need to talk anymore about it now.
Okay, so
Well-
we'll just, Bob?
Are we back on the water? I'm sorry. I was making my notes from the last meeting still. Are you talking about continuing the discussion about the water test?
Yeah, because we'd have to set a public hearing will be the next thing. I would just like to have it when we actually have a real public hearing in person. I think from what I've been hearing, it might be sooner. We'll be off these Zoom meetings.
Yeah. As long as we're gonna continue to waive it, anybody who asks for it until we have it, I'm okay. Something I do want to mention tonight that I just found out about this is, and I don't know if you guys maybe knew, but I didn't know. There is a tax credit, a federal tax credit for when people put their septic systems in up to $6,000. They can get $1,500 a year back for up to 4 years. And to get that and put that on their taxes, their accountant needs to fill out a form, and they need to show that they paid the installer for the installation, and they need a certificate of compliance. So I know currently the people don't need a water test. They just don't get a certificate of compliance, but as long as we're gonna let people just keep getting their certificate of compliance until we have the meeting. At first, when I talked to Ed afterwards, I thought, oh, well, then it doesn't matter, but then I found out about that, and I guess it does matter. So I just don't want to, again, not on transfers, not on anything else, but as long as we're just going to continue to, if people, ask for that until we get to it, and then if it takes a couple of months to have the real hearing, I'm okay with it.
Can I say something?
Yep, go ahead.
We need to find a new location as well. I know we used to have them in the Board of Health office. The Board of Health is moving, so we'll no longer be able to use this office for meetings. So we would have to find a new location for our meetings. We're probably moving in June. So the fire department will be moving into our office, so we won't have that access anymore.
Is our new space big enough to have a table, or are we going to lose that?
I haven't checked it out yet, but we can consider that the option. The new space would be the old library.
Fancy.
Okay, what other offices are moving in there? Do we know that? This is the first I've heard of that one, Ed.
The Board of Health, Conservation, and Building Commission are all moving to the old library. and the fire department is moving into our, the office we have now. Like I said, there are other options for meetings. There's police station, we tried that once. There are other places we can look into as well. And as Bob mentioned, we will look into the old library, see if that works, but there's, I don't know, it depends once we get all the files in there and all the desks in there to see how much room we have, but it's really tough to tell right now.
Okay. Yeah, this is the first I heard too. I knew the building department was moving there, but I didn't know they were moving us there either, so. I guess we'll just have to play it by ear. I mean, we'll have to get a space someplace. Either at the police station or at,
Library.
Ted Williams had a room where the Parks Department used to meet. And that used to be available sometimes, so they'll just, and the police station, well, yeah, they moved, so. Yeah, that's about it. We'll just have to find a space where we can go. Cause I don't think the library wants a lot of meetings in there anymore.
Okay, I just keep us up to date on that and maybe, yeah, definitely try to look into it in case we get notified. You know, sometimes the state notifies you and it's effective right away. So I'd like to make sure we have something set up for our dates, seeing we've already been on the 1st and 3rd of every new month on Wednesdays, just to notify any of the engineers or anyone looking to book our meetings.
Okay,
So we'll need a motion to continue the water discussion.
I'll make a motion, we continue the water discussion under the same conditions we have until a time we can have a public hearing in person.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Bob Plucci,
Aye.
Chris Pratt,
Aye.
Eric Maxim, aye. Okay, we'll just jump down to review and approve meeting minutes as typed. The 43D public hearing minutes from December 3rd, 2020. I believe we continued this one of the previous meetings for a change.
Yeah, that was on me. I thought that we had continued, but like, they went back and listened to it and they said we didn't. So,
Okay,
but I had read them. I'm good with them.
Bob, you good with them?
Yep.
Like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the December 3rd, 2020 public hearing minutes from the 43D committee as typed.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Chris Pratt,
Aye.
Bob Plucci,
Aye.
Eric Maxim, aye. Next on the agenda, review and approve meeting minutes as typed, 43D committee public hearing minutes from February 18th, 2021. I was good with those from the last one also.
Derek, were you at this meeting? It says that you opened the hearing, and then it says members present, me and Bob, and it's noted that you're not in attendance. So there's a little confusion there.
If you give me 1 second, I can go look. There's one meeting I missed. I was plowing.
Yeah, that's why I wonder if it was a snow night.
Give me 1 second. I can find the date. I'll be right back.
So
Well, I left
yeah,
early, but I finished our stuff first and then I took off.
Yeah, so
I
that's
got
one thing
the
to get
computer
clear
set
up. And then there's some typos, and I don't know if we can probably approve it and tell them to fix the typos. They spelled my name
Let's just
wrong.
continue it to the next meeting.
They spelled my name wrong twice.
Yeah. Well, that needs to be continued then. They can't do that to you.
This is the same meeting that one of the guys, the guy from South Coast Today, wrote an article about the meeting, and he called me the chair.
Yeah. Well, you were our representative at the 43D,
Right.
so I could see how that got confused.
I remember reading the article, I'm like, oh, look, I got quoted in the paper, but it says on the chair. And I'm like, this is not fair to Derek.
Yeah.
No, I believe I was at that meeting. There was nothing on February 18th for a snowstorm.
So they just need to remove the part that says it's noted that you're not in attendance.
Okay, so.
I'll make a motion, we continue the 43D public hearing minutes from February 18th till our next meeting, until they have time to review the tapes and correct Derek being there and the few typos that you found.
Yeah, they misspelled my name twice.
Have a second, Chris?
Second,
Any discussion? All those in favor, Chris Pratt,
I,
Bob Palucci,
Aye.
Derek Maxim, aye. So that one is continued. Next, review and approve meeting minutes as typed from Board of Health meeting, January 6th, 2021. I'll go to you, Chris, first on this one. You've been picking up everything.
so it's overall the minutes are fine, but the footer notes you put on each page, it says Lakeville Conservation Commission, not Board of Health.
Get a continuance on that one to correct it.
I'll make a motion, we continue the Board of Health minutes from January 6th, 2021 until our next meeting, so those corrections can be made.
Second,
Any discussion? All those in favor, Chris Pratt,
I,
Bob Palucci,
Aye.
Derek Maxim, aye. Next, Board of Review and Approve Board of Health meeting minutes as typed from January 20th, 2021. Chris, go to you.
am all set. You're good.
Bob,
I'm good.
I'm good with these also. Like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the Board of Health minutes from January 20th, 2021 as typed.
Second,
Any discussion? All those in favor, Chris Pratt,
I,
Bob Palucci,
Aye.
Derek Maxim, aye. Okay, thank you for that. So we continue two of them. Ed, just make sure they get corrected for our next meeting. And then I'll turn it over to you, Ed, for discussion on any Board of Health pending items you'd like to discuss with the board, and a COVID-19 update and a Tripoli update.
Okay, no pending items as of right now. The COVID-19 update, Lakeville is doing better. We're in a couple days with no cases. Had 2 more cases today, but I mean, overall, the number of cases are going down. So we're looking pretty good. We're still in the yellow, I guess, but if at this rate, we should be getting into green or lower if the trend continues. So that's good news. Vaccines, it's mainly due to the vaccines. Just to let people know, there are a lot of vaccines available, both at private places as well as the state websites. So please try to get a vaccine. If you have trouble getting a vaccine, you can call the Board of Health and we can assist you in getting an appointment somewhere. So don't just give up because you're having trouble getting an appointment. So we do assist people with that. And that's about it for the COVID.
Can I just add to that? I heard today that they're going to be shutting down in about a month, Gillette and all the mass vaccination places, because they're transitioning right now over to Walgreens and CVS and other providers. So, and they actually said today that some places, some CVSs and Walgreens actually have walk-in appointments now for the vaccine. So that could be another resource for people to check in on. But I've talked to 2 people in the last couple of days. They called and they were able to stop in their pharmacy the next day and get the vaccine. So I'm glad that that's happening now.
The one in Lakeville, it's still tough to get the CVS in Lakeville. They're not really doing the walk-ins right now, and then most of the appointments are booked. But give it another week or 2, and that may be the case.
I'd like to add to
What
that
about the
too.
Walgreens?
So I got my second shot Friday at Gillette. And I was in and out in 20 minutes. It was much faster than my first shot a month prior. And then also my wife and my oldest got their first shots last week, and they called up, got an appointment the next day, and they were in and out really quick. So there's plenty of spots in the area that are available that I know, and I've seen other people say that, yeah, you can get an appointment real quick now. That the bulk of people that were on the lists, where it was only open to limited people, once we've gotten past that, it's much easier to get an appointment now. So, you know, Bob and I and Ed, I think the three of us are vaccinated and we're all still here. So it's not as bad as you think it is.
Well, they said we're at almost 600,000 people dead in the United States of this alone. But we don't have a single death from the vaccine yet. So that's just one statistic that I hope sticks with people.
Yeah, the long-term side effects of COVID are much worse than any side effect of the vaccine.
And also with variants, a lot of people think because they got it in the past, they're immune to it. The immunity on average lasts about 5 months. You usually get a minimum of 3 months of immunity. But with the variants, you don't even get that, because if you get one of the most predominant variant out there right now is the one that originated in the UK. And you can get that even if you've had COVID before, you can still get the UK variant. So there's the best immunity is through vaccines, not through previous exposure to it. So, and as time goes on, there's just going to be more and more variants. So, and where the vaccines will protect you against a multitude of variants, whereas by getting it, you only get protected against the one that you got.
Okay, thank you for that, Ed. Would you like to do a Tripoli update too, also?
Yeah, so they are gonna they are doing some spraying. They canceled a lot of it due to the bad weather, but they do plan on doing some spraying in the area. So if the people in the western portion of Lakeville see a low-flying helicopter, sorry, the low-flying helicopter is for the rabies, but they are planning on doing some spraying for Tripoli as well. It's just not scheduled yet, but they do. Last year when they did it, it was very effective. So they haven't made the decision to do it yet. It depends on the screening that they do. If they start to see a lot of cases in the birds and the mosquitoes that they catch, if they start to see a lot of Tripoli, they do plan to do the spraying again for that. But just let everyone know that this is a time where you can do the most preventive measures, because as the fewer places the mosquitoes have to breed now, the fewer of them we will get later on. So I'm sure there's going to be some Tripoli out there, but we can limit the amount of mosquitoes with Tripoli by controlling the population now. So anything you can do about standing water, getting rid of it, it will be helpful. You won't see the effects now, but you'll see it a month from now or 2 months from now. So it makes a big difference, because for every mosquito you prevent from laying egg now, it's exponential, the difference, because for every mosquito that lays eggs, that offspring lays eggs. So, I mean, you can reduce it by hundreds and thousands just by preventing it now. So that's what a lot of people don't realize is, but the best prevention measures are done now, not when they start to surface in July and August.
So in my travels, I've seen Bristol County and Plymouth County mosquito controls out doing their preliminary stuff and probably putting drops in catch basins and other areas they know to keep an eye on. I think they usually offer, if you want to have your yard sprayed as a service. They still doing that too, Ed?
Yeah, they haven't done it yet, but
Okay.
they do that. They have that truck that goes around, and they will do that, but that has not been offered yet.
Okay, thank you for that update. That is it on the agenda. I have nothing else. Bob Palucci, anything else?
I'm good. I was just thinking though, what we started doing, and they said it was more effective, is if you are gonna call to have your yard sprayed, if you get a hold of your neighbors, and a group of yous do them all together, it's much more effective. So if you can get together with your neighbors, if the mosquitoes start getting bad, if you're gonna call them, they like doing it that way better because they're already on the street and they can just spray multiple yards, and it's much more effective if they do it that way. So if you get along with your neighbors and you're all having problem, call it in together and have them come and do it at the same time.
All right, thank you for that, Bob. Chris, anything else?
Nope.
You'd like to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor? Chris Pratt,
Aye.
Bob Palucci,
aye.
Derek Maxim, aye. Motion adjourned. Motion to adjourn. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ed.